Hey there, pirates. Welcome aboard the Anime No Mi channel. One of the most mysterious battles in One Piece was the secret confrontation between Shanks and Kaido at Marineford, something that remained a secret until now, when I'm going to reveal it to you. I hope for your support to help our crew win, and to do so, you just need to click the thumbs up button, leave a like, and subscribe to the channel. By doing this, you will win an incredible devil fruit, so just comment which fruit you want. Guys, the mystery surrounding what happened between Shanks and Kaido moments before the War of the Best is, without a doubt, one of the biggest unanswered questions that has haunted the One Piece community for over a decade. In the current manga, with the revelations about the absurd power of the red-haired man's haki and Kaido's monstrous durability in Wano, this piece of the puzzle starts to take on much more interesting and far less obvious shapes than a simple epic exchange of punches. When we talk about whether they actually fought, we need to understand the context of who these two characters are in the power hierarchy and in Eiichiro Oda's philosophy of the world. Kaido is the man who sought the most glorious death in the world, a battle addict who respects only raw strength and haki that transcends everything. Shanks, on the other hand, is the diplomat of chaos, the man who keeps the world in balance with one hand on the hilt of his sword and the other holding a cup of sake, but who possesses observation haki so advanced that he can see the future, and a conqueror's haki that makes even admirals break into a cold sweat from afar. If we look at what the manga has shown us recently in Egghead and Elbaf, Shanks is level borders on the divine within the series' power system. He isn't just strong, he's efficient. The fact that he stopped Kaido and arrived at Marineford without a scratch on his face or any visible damage to his ship suggests that if there was a confrontation, it was either extremely brief or purely psychological. Kaido, in his dragon form, was heading to Marineford to likely turn that war into an even greater feast of destruction. He wanted chaos. Shanks, on the other hand, had a clear objective: to prevent the world from collapsing completely before the right time. For the red-haired man to convince the king of the beast to turn back, he would have had to offer something Kaido valued more than a fight against Whitebeard or the world government itself. The theory that they physically fought for days falls apart when we analyze the war's timeline. The time gap between their encounter and Shanks' arrival at Marineford is far too short for a prolonged battle of attrition, like the ones we saw between Kaido and Luffy, or Akainu and Aokiji. This leads us to assume, based on Shanks' observation haki, that he may have shown Kaido that this was not his moment or his place. Imagine Shanks using his conqueror's haki to block Kaido's future sight, or to project such overwhelming power that even the strongest creature in the world hesitated. In the manga, we saw Kaido list Shanks among the few who were capable of fighting him, which proves there is mutual respect rooted in a past encounter. Many fans theorize that Shanks may have used privileged information about Joy Boy to convince Kaido. We know Kaido was obsessed with the legend of the warrior who would bring liberation, and he believed that maybe he himself could be that man, or that only Joy Boy would be capable of defeating him. If Shanks approached Kaido and said something like, "The man you're waiting for hasn't arrived at Marineford yet, but he will appear in Wano," that would have been enough to make Kaido retreat. It wasn't a knockout loss, but a strategic defeat. Shanks beat Kaido in the game of patience and destiny. In high-level pirate vocabulary, sometimes a well-founded warning is worth more than 1,000 club strikes. Another fundamental point is the crew. The red-haired pirates are described as the most balanced crew among the Yonko. While Kaido was traveling with King, Shanks had his entire elite force with him: Ben Beckman, Lucky Roo, and Yasopp. Even for Kaido, facing a Yonko of Shanks' caliber, backed by a first mate with the highest IQ in the East Blue and haki that intimidates Kizaru, would be an extremely disadvantageous and time-consuming fight. Kaido may be immortal, but he isn't stupid. He knows that a fight against the red-haired pirates would leave him too weakened to enjoy the war at Marineford. Therefore, Shanks' victory was perfect crisis management. He used the threat of total force to avoid having to use force at all. In the current manga, we saw Shanks destroy Kid's crew with a single attack, the Kamusari, inherited from Roger. This shows that if Shanks truly wanted to injure Kaido, he would have the tools to pierce the dragon's scaled hide. However, Shanks' style isn't that of a conqueror of territories, but of a guardian of eras. He stopped Kaido because Kaido was a variable that would destroy the long-term plan Shanks has been protecting ever since he received Roger's hat. The most logical assumption is that there was a brief exchange of blows, perhaps a clash of conquerors' haki that split the sky, something standard among Yonko, followed by a tense negotiation in which Shanks proved that the cost of getting past him would be far too high for Kaido's goals at that moment. The absence of injuries among the red-haired crew when they arrived at the Marineford War is the strongest argument against a prolonged battle. If King and Kaido had truly gone all out against the red-haired pirates, we would have seen at least some bandages or damage to the Red Force. The fact that they appeared spotless, ready to challenge anyone who still wanted to fight, indicates that Shanks dominated the situation. He is the character who plays the game on a level that even Kaido, with all his raw power, cannot fully reach. Shanks understands the gears of the world, the Void Century, and the importance of historical timing. Commenting on this today, knowing what happened in Wano, makes us look back and see just how frustrated Kaido was for not having found anyone who truly challenged him until Luffy appeared. Perhaps Shanks was the man who gave Kaido the certainty that the top of the world was still occupied by giants, but that the great event Kaido so desperately desired was still yet to come. Kaido's defeat to Shanks at Marineford was, therefore, a defeat of will. Shanks had the firmer will and the clearer purpose, and in One Piece, willpower, haki, decides the winner even before the first punch is thrown. This dynamic between the strongest man and the man with the strongest haki defines what it means to be a Yonko. Kaido represents the force of nature and inevitable disaster. Shanks represents human mastery over that nature. When they met, it was the moment when nature had to bow to strategy and spiritual power. There was no need for a massacre, only the demonstration that the path to Marineford was blocked by someone who was not afraid of dragons. And that is why Shanks is so respected and feared. He gets what he wants without needing to destroy everything around him unless it is strictly necessary. Imagine the scene. Kaido is flying over the new world in his dragon form, focused on the idea of causing the greatest massacre in history at Marineford. He senses Shanks' presence. Normally, Kaido would welcome the challenge, but Shanks has a unique ability mentioned in recent special volumes. He can prevent his opponent from seeing the future. If Kaido, a master of haki, tries to foresee how that battle would unfold and finds only a void or an impenetrable barrier created by the red-haired man's haki, that creates hesitation, and for a strategist like Shanks, that hesitation is the opening needed for steel-hard diplomacy. The main point here is not that Shanks soloed Kaido in a 10-round fight, but that he handed Kaido an intellectual defeat. In the manga, Kaido constantly claimed that haki is what rules the world, and standing before him was the man who possibly possesses the most refined haki of the current era. Kaido's humiliation at Marineford was not physical. It was the realization that if he tried to force his way past Shanks, he would reach Marineford too late, too injured, and without the glory he so desperately sought. Shanks essentially delivered a checkmate on the board before the game even began. He showed that the efficiency of Advanced Conqueror's haki can stop even a natural calamity like the King of the Beasts. Additionally, we need to talk about the knowledge factor. Shanks sailed on the Pirate King's ship, and as we've seen recently, he seems to know far more about the world's prophecies and destiny than the other Yonko. If Shanks told Kaido that the death he longed for was not at Marineford, but would come at the hands of someone who was yet to arrive, he struck at Kaido's weak point. His obsession with Joy Boy. Kaido retreated because Shanks gave him a reason to wait. It was not a battle of blood, it was a battle of conviction. And as we know in One Piece, whoever has the greater conviction, willpower, always wins a clash of haki. Shanks' arrival at Marineford clean, composed, and imposing was the final seal on that victory. He didn't just stop Kaido, he stopped the war itself. This shows that the level of authority he wields over the world is something Kaido, even with his army of Smile users, never managed to replicate. While Kaido ruled through fear and torture, Shanks rules through respect and through fear of what his haki can do. The assumption that they fought seriously becomes less and less likely when we see how quickly Shanks resolves problems. He is the surgeon of the pirate world. He makes the precise cut in the precise place to prevent a greater hemorrhage. In the end, the relationship between Shanks and Kaido is one of respect maintained at a distance. Kaido placed Shanks in that mental image of the few who can fight me, not because they traded blows for hours, but because in that encounter on the way to Marineford, Kaido felt that Shanks was one of the few who could truly kill him if the situation demanded it. And for Kaido, finding someone with that capability is the greatest gift possible, even if it means turning back and waiting a few more years in Wano. To conclude this analysis, what becomes clear is that Shanks is the guardian of One Piece's timing. He defeated Kaido that day without spilling a single drop of blood, simply by reaffirming that he is the man who decides when the curtains of an era close and when the next one begins. Kaido left because standing before Shanks, he realized that it still wasn't his turn to be the protagonist of that final story. And Shanks, with his calm smile and overwhelming haki, continued on his journey to show the world that peace is sometimes enforced by the tip of a sword that never even needed to be drawn. That was our deep dive into the latest manga-based theories. Shanks remains the greatest enigma in the series, and every appearance he makes only confirms that he is the true puppet master of this world. That was today's content. We hope you liked it and want to share your opinion on the subject. Don't forget to share the video, give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care and stay amazing.